Oh, there's a lot going on this week. There's a lot going on this week. You already see what time I'm on. It's game week. It's game time for all of that. A whole lot of good stuff on the way. And before we actually even get to all the sports stuff, there's a whole lot of entertaining things going on there. Something else we want to talk about too. Black Panther just came out, and we've been excited about that and waiting for that to come out. And we were going to sneak it in at the end of the episode, but I want to talk about it in depth. To be honest with you, I saw it and had a lot of thoughts. So we're gonna have a quick conversation about that. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's your boy G, along with Alec, another great episode of Section 300. A lot of good stuff on the way for you guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff for us. And yeah, we're here first off, before we get into all the NFL things that are going to be on the way, wanted to really dive into Black Panther because it definitely provoked a whole lot of emotion after the viewing this opening week. So good stuff there. And then again, we'll see you guys later on as well for the sports things. But I want to jump into this, Alex, because I have some thoughts.
We know.
Where do I start? Dear Lord. Okay, so we
just saw it. Was it yesterday or the day before?
2 days ago at this point. Okay. And
I saw it opening day.
Off first reaction, I really enjoyed it. I've become one of the letterbox folks that as people have been doing, and they go on there and leave their reviews and things.
Yep, I'm on it.
I wrote a long review after I first watched it, and I deleted it. I'm not gonna lie. I've gone back and forth on my ranking 4 times in the last 2 days, because there are a lot of things. I've had it as high as my initial reaction was a 4.5, 4.7. I think I might even said at one point.
Yeah, I think you said
But then as I thought some more and really thought more about what all went down, I dropped it more to around a 4.2, something like that. So still out of 5. So still a good score. But definitely just a lot going on there. First off, I guess jumping into it, I did like the introduction. I like how they intertwined T'Challa and Chadwick's death into the beginning. I thought the funeral in that regard was great. And yeah, it definitely was a touching tribute that I think they handled very, very well. But going on from there after that, I guess I'll start positive. I'll start positive.
Yeah. I have a list of pros and cons too. So
say that again.
So I have a list of pros and cons too.
Yeah. So on the positive side, just to get it all out the way first. On the positive side, I like the action a whole lot. There are a lot of the twists. I guess in a non-spoiler way to start off. I think a lot of the twists were pretty intense and good. I thought that the villain Namor was done very well, and his people were depicted very well. And yeah, the action, all of that, I think was done in a good way. I won't keep going for too long. What did you think about it as well?
Yeah, well, I echo your first sentiment about how they handled Chadwick's real life passing and fictional passing in Black Panther. I think just opening the movie with silence and just the images of him instead of the normal Marvel MCU music, I thought that was a nice touch too.
Yep.
And just how they handled the themes of grief with them actually grieving the real life loss and the fictional loss. I thought that intertwined well. I thought the acting was strong from everyone for the most part. And it just overall, just a broad note. I think it was a level above all the other Marvel movies from this phase.
Absolutely.
MCU. I guess if you consider if No Way Home is MCU, then that's probably the one I'd have a slightly higher than Wakanda Forever.
Sure.
But other than that, I think this had, just from the acting, the tone, the narrative, I thought it was a level above the other MCU movies we've gotten from this phase. So I'll let you continue with some of your pros.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. It definitely was very strong as it was. I guess as we go into the cons, though, and now where the spoilers will start. So I don't know if y'all thought there weren't going to be spoilers, but we're going to be talking about it in depth. So definitely when going through the cons, even though as I said to start, I enjoyed a lot of the twists and things. When and viewing them at first, they were great, but looking at them and then looking back, I guess in hindsight, things felt very either unnecessary or misplaced.
Okay.
I'll use the biggest one as an example. I guess starting at the end, then we'll go backwards.
Okay.
We saw at the beginning after the ceremony, Angela Bassett. I don't know her real name, her name in the movie is
the Queen. She's the Queen.
The Queen and Shuri were sitting down, having their trying to get past T'Challa's death, and part of the grieving was to let go and to burn the ceremonial garbs and all that kind of stuff. And they were doing that by themselves all along the beach or wherever that was.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the Queen says to Shuri, "I also have a secret to tell you." And before she revealed that,
because you mentioned that on your IG story too, I actually forgot about that towards the end. Like I didn't think about it at all.
That and that's kind of my point. So that happened, and then she said that, and then the more popped up. And I was watching it like, okay, she just said this. I know I heard it. I know somebody else heard it.
Yeah,
and they just ignored it for the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And while there was a lot of other impactful stuff, to have a moment like that where she says something that clearly is alluding to something else, and then we never see Shuri think about, oh, the Queen had a secret to tell me. Let me go ask her what it is. Or there's never a little flashback of, oh, I don't know, just some kind of illusion that she remembered that there's a secret out there. Like there was just no acknowledgement of that after she said that. So for that to happen, then the whole movie goes on as it did, which was good as it was. But in the end, for the reveal to be, oh, T'Challa actually had a son that's been out here this whole time. They've kind of kept him secret and away from everything as all this other stuff has gone on.
Yeah.
I felt like as soon as they revealed that, I don't want to the rest of the movie became irrelevant, but I was like, y'all could have started there. Y'all could have took that and made that like the base.
I think that hurts the movie a lot if you start there.
I think that could have been a strong base for the movie. And before I get deeper in that, I want to also say I'm not fully familiar with the comics. And I know that Shuri does have a Black Panther role where that was where her ending up in that suit and becoming the Queen and things of that nature were meant to be. So in regards to that following along with the comics, I don't want the comic book folks to come at me. If that's how it goes, that's how it's supposed to go. I'm saying in watching it, it also just felt like that base of having T'Challa's son, I feel like could have been a nice transition following what we just witnessed with his passing and things and moving on and trying to figure out who's next. Instead of them figuring it out, it's like, hey, his son's here. Let's protect him and guide him into this next era, I guess. But they went as they did. What did you think about that take, I guess, that I had?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, because you did a little breakdown right after you first saw it, and you were excited.
There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion.
When you brought that up, I was like, I forgot that she was gonna tell her a secret like in the beginning, and I'm not mad at that. Like I like that it wrapped back around at the end as far as the secret actually coming out. Some people probably caught it like you and were like thinking about it, like anticipating something, like not necessarily that, but I thought that they kept that well under wraps because initially when Chadwick died, people of course were wondering like, what are you going to do with the character? Like he is Black Panther. Are they going to recast him? Are they going to bring someone else to take over the mantle? And people wondered whether there would be a child too. But I feel like Marvel did a good job of like keeping that under wraps because a lot of times stuff like that gets leaked.
Of course.
So I thought having that like as the big pop worked really well. And if you had that in the beginning, it's kind of hard to top that then like at the end. Well, I think you could definitely make a story with that too, and like maybe other countries are like seeking to threaten Wakanda because they know that like the child is the one that's like next to the throne or whatever, kind of like a Game of Thrones type thing.
Right.
But I like how it was handled, wrapping around at the end, and that being like the big pop of the mid-credit scene as well, because I feel like that would have been hard to that would have like dwarfed probably the back half of the movie if you like revealed that kind of early for me. So yeah.
Yeah, but I will say as well, even though I had the reaction that I did, how they handled it at the very end of the movie with the reveal as it was,
and the Rihanna coming on and all that,
and Rihanna and all that.
Yeah.
Also too, just to the moment, like I was sitting in the theater, I went to like a 2:30 viewing. Like I was supposed to go the night before and fell asleep and missed the. I was supposed to go with my family and missed it. I fell asleep or whatever.
Right.
So I went by myself to see it the next day, and so I went at like 2:30 and saw it after work. And yeah, the movie theater was pretty empty. There was only like 20 people in there watching it at the time. So there wasn't a whole lot of reaction.
I had a theater full of Negroes in mine.
They were out there. They were dancing and all of that. Everybody was in there.
Not dancing, but there was a lot of talking, a lot of outbursts throughout the movie, but especially at that moment, like people were cheering and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I guess a quick note on that. To the lack of crowd in my in my theater, when Lupita Nyong'o first popped up on screen, I was like, yeah. And some dude was like, and some dude behind me, quiet theater, was like, yep. And I was like, salute. And we just kept watching the movie.
Like I told you, she's special.
Yeah, absolutely. Salute to her. Yeah, she definitely showed out in this one. But to the main point I was trying to say, there wasn't much really reaction in my theater going on throughout the movie, even as there were big reveals, as a lot of stuff was going on, and Shuri seeing who she saw in the dream and all that stuff going on. Right. There was a reaction. But the one time there was a reaction was when the sun was revealed. Everyone was like, wait, what? Like, oh, like that was the first time. I was like, oh, y'all actually awakened here. I was like, good. That the crowd like only one hype for all this going on right now. Wow. So yeah, that definitely was a surprising moment. And I'm excited to see the reaction as folks can finally trying to talk about it as that goes on and discussion with it. And yeah, in that regard to what you're saying, I think that was done well. I also think that it could have been placed in different spots to better, I guess, move forward the story from where it was. So yeah, definitely an interesting thing. That's kind of an endpoint, as I said. But going back to the rest of the movie as it was, what did you think of Namor?
I love Namor. That was in one of my pros as well. I thought the MCU has kind of had issues with villains and killing off the villains after one movie and that kind of thing. So I'm glad that he didn't die in this one. He very well could have. If
should have. I'll say that straight up. He should have died.
So you're like some of the people in my theater that were like, kill that nigga.
Yeah, please, like what's the deal?
But I think like while it may be like framed as corny or by some or something like that, like I think it's a fair message to have. I mean, because this was damn near like a race war in the movie between Latinos and Blacks. So like I think it's a fair message to have them like coming together in the end, instead of her just murdering him and taking the vengeance route like Killmonger would have potentially. And it showed that she still had like some of her brother like in her, as well as her mom too. So like it made sense. I wouldn't have had a problem if she killed him, but it made sense to spare him too, especially with them potentially being an ally. And then just the broader scope of the theme of the two kind of races.
Here's the thing. I get the desire for unity, but we also have to look at the story as it was. And that man killed your mom in front of your face. What are we talking about? I get the unity side, and in the end, you want to kumbaya, Disney, and all that. This man came into your.
Not even just that too, because like M'Baku pointed out, like if you kill their god, like you're gonna have war for the rest of your lives. Essentially, like you're gonna have eternal war if you kill him.
Sure, but if you already have shown that you can handle him, you can handle the rest as well. So I think that's a war you have to take on.
Maybe for a second I thought she was dead, so I don't know if she
right. They both had a weird ending in my opinion. Yeah. So Namor went as he did and showed he could infiltrate Wakanda, which nobody else could, but through the water, and because he had access to vibranium himself, was able to get through and impose his will in some ways to I guess show how mighty he was as well. He didn't even really want to go to war at first. He wanted peace and thought that them both being the powerful entities that they were, collaborating would have been a great unity. I guess that's your point there. That could have been the unity they had to begin with. But I guess feeling the threat of things, and because of also how Namor presented himself, there were
he wanted to kill the scientists too. So
there was the desire to kill the scientists to rid the outside world of having access to what they both had going on.
Right.
The Wakandans decided not to do that, and went as they did. So it led to a few battles, and it led to Namor and his people, the Atlantis, whatever type folks they're called.
They didn't call them that. There was.
I don't know. I guess I made that up. But them folks,
are that.
Them folks breaking into the Wakanda and causing bloodshed. They went all in on them. And Namor went to the extreme of going and attacking the Queen, which led to her death as she was trying to save Riri Williams, I think, the scientist who they had protected. So definitely a sad thing. I just think that while, again, I understood the unity of it, having something as tragic as that, because I was not expecting that at all. I'm not going to lie. When I saw her swimming up towards the water, I thought, oh, she made it. Then we saw her head down, and it was like, oh, that's it. I thought that should have been the last straw in their potential for unity. But Shuri still had some T'Challa, her brother, in her, even though she saw some Killmonger pop up and wanting to spark some greater divide. So even in the very end, she chose peace and kept that. I guess the last thing I was trying to say, I was trying to find the words I was trying to get back to. The last point was, while I do like them choosing unity, it's clear that unity is not going to last long. They showed also after that, Namor went back home, and people were like, "Yo, you the most powerful being in the world, and you let them punk you like that."
I'm saying it's more like it's gray. It's like in the gray area. I don't think it's clear black and white one way or the other, because they do need each other. Like whether or not they necessarily like want that.
Is that true though? Because they had been surviving by themselves, hidden down low for
I think it's true,
entire time.
When we go further, I think it's true. Because Namor now he could have been offed. Like he sees that he's not like immortal, so like he may need another country with the technological innovation that also has vibranium.
Sure,
like,
but even then, and I guess my other kind of issue with that is that all the other world interference kind of faded out as the movie went on. So it didn't seem like the world even fully knows still that Namor is even out there. So if Namor just faded in and all of them just kind of faded back underwater and was like, hey, y'all know about us, but y'all have won. We're choosing peace. Y'all stay up there and handle that. We're going to fade back down here and chill out and keep our stuff pure. That still could have been the option. So I was confused by that as well. So we'll see how things go from there. I brought up the world involvement. What did you think of the I forgot what the dude's name, the white dude that came back around and all that kind of stuff going on?
I had it down. Everett Ross. I was gonna say like that was in one of my cons. Like he's a fine character. Like I don't mind him as a character, but I felt like in this movie it was just like unnecessary. Like some people have said it was bloated. So I feel like that whole storyline with him and I'm blanking on her name, Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like that whole storyline, like whatever 15-20 minutes of the movie that is, could be cut out and it'd still be a great movie. And probably be a little bit better, just like more focused. So that was one of the cons for me. You want to say something?
Especially with the fact, as I said, Namor and them come up and they're now battling all that, and there's no outside world involvement. And again, it seems like they could just fade off and the world still might not know about them. So for the world to be trying to find what all this stuff's going on and then still not know about this other presence, even though they kind of alluded to it and all that. I thought that was very, very weird.
It would have been fine it would have been fine if it was like more focal to like the story. Like if it had more importance to this singular movie, it'd be fine. But it feels like they're just trying to set up future stuff,
Sure.
future movies, and that's why I was there. But I didn't need that.
Following after the last movie, it made sense in that you let Ross into Wakanda. You let Ross see pretty much everything. He knows all about what's going on. He knows how to use the beads a little bit and all that kind of stuff. So he's kind of involved in what's going on. So with that, of course, the world's going to kind of get connected into it and want to get access to vibranium, all of that. So the intro part of it about the world trying to find their way to get connected to it all, it made sense to me. So I was cool with that.
The hearing that you're talking about?
The hearing, and
that whole scene was dope. The hearing, and like
trying to like invade, and so I was cool with that. I just didn't like how all of that just kind of disappeared as the story went on. And then two things with that. One, Namor and his people had the sonar power; they could control everybody, and quickly. And quickly, they were like, all right, we're going to put some earphones in, and that's it. I was like, wait. I was like, that's it?
That makes sense. But, like, I thought that was a dope.
But, like, come on.
That was a dope, like, I mean, power. I thought, like, we'll just call them Atlanteans because I can't remember what their actual name was. But I thought they, like, had some real dope elements to them. Like, the fact that the, like, Wakandan, like, soldier, I'm blanking on her name, but, like, she was, like, giving them hell, and then they just like got right back up after like they should have been
like
dead.
Killed them. She stabbed all three of them, and then it was like, all right, cool. You thought
they were like damn near immortal, and then like the whole like sonar thing, like you were saying, like just taking over people's minds and stuff. Like they had some like cool elements to them that like added to their mystique, which I thought was pretty cool.
Here's I'm a slight stretch in this moment just for the fun of it. It didn't happen, but as it went on, I was like, it would have been crazy if, because didn't Killmonger fall into the water as his death?
I think I know where you're going.
It would have been wild if they like captured him and like brought him back to life and made him part of them. That would have been wild. It didn't happen, and they handled it as it did. And I like actually how they used him instead, and seeing him and the ancestral thing, I thought was actually really cool and a great surprise. But seeing how the Atlanteans or whatever, how they move, I was like, dang, that's I did like them, but I was just confused at how easy they were neutralized. It was like, okay, they have the sonar thing, put some headphones in, they they like water, put them in the sand, and they're gonna die, and it was like, and that's it. But still, I definitely enjoyed their involvement. Last thing, I'll let you go again. The last point I had going back to the world's involvement was that the world, as they had described in the beginning of the hearing of things, they now know of vibranium and all that's going on with the Wakanda and all of that, but they haven't had access to it, and they're trying to get access to it to learn about it and want to use it for their own things. And the Queen was worried about weapons of mass destruction, all that kind of stuff. But still, it was alluded to that they had not got their hands on it at all. That being said, how do they bug the beads?
How do they bug the beads?
How did they bug the beads?
Oh, like, do you mean the beads that like Everett picked up? You mean
Shuri lost her beads in the fight versus them. They said the girl came in and they bugged the beads and heard all the conversations. Y'all have had no access to vibranium at all prior to this. Y'all have been searching for vibranium. You have probably one of the most valuable pieces of vibranium there in the Queen's beads. And instead of like taking them for yourself and researching them or whatever, you bug them and just leave them for Ross to use.
I guess you nitpicking now though, like
but that's not that doesn't make sense to you.
I get like I'm able to suspend disbelief for that, like bugging. Like the U.S. is always bugging shit. They're probably listening right now to us talk.
Fine, I know the U.S. already be bugging everything, but the bug vibranium, which y'all have been trying to do every which way to find access to, you get vibranium in one of its most powerful forms in the Queen's beads or whatever.
Do we know that those are vibranium?
I thought they were. And if not, then that's my mistake. And I'm just.
I mean, because if they are vibranium, I would think that they probably.
I was pretty sure that those were vibranium beads, as everything else they have seemed to be with vibranium stuff.
Yeah, a lot of
they have the beads, and you have your first access to vibranium, and it's like, okay, we can use this and study. We finally have access to it.
Uh-huh.
No, let's bug it and give it back to Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't
Like,
debate one way or the other because I don't know.
Like, come on.
I was
Maybe,
not. I was not that worried about the beads when I was watching the movie, so I can't tell you.
I wasn't worried about them when she said that she bugged them. I was just like, seriously? Like, I was just confused. So I guess I'm nitpicking something that maybe not have been there, but yeah, that part definitely. I was like, there's no way. But what else you want to point out about the movie real quick?
Yeah, going back to what you said about Michael B. Jordan, that was a nice surprise in the dream sequence. I'm not like, I guess I'd say I'm happy that it wasn't like Chadwick that she saw, because that could have been handled poorly, like trying to do a recreation of him instead. But with how they handled other things, it may have worked as well too. But I'm not mad at them bringing back Michael B. Jordan. I mean, he was a very integral part of the first movie, and I thought it fit perfectly for her to see him and him have the vengeance talk with her essentially, which is like the little devil on her shoulder versus T'Challa being the angel, if you want to look at it that way. So I thought it seamlessly fit in there, and it was a welcome surprise. A character like who I thought was fine but wasn't in love with was Ironheart, Riri. Like, she was cool, but I felt like her introduction into the movie, like the whole tone of it changed. Like it kind of got like, it turned into more of the like lighthearted MCU shows that we've been getting like on Disney Plus, more than like the tone of the movie, which was coming off of like this grief-stricken country and all that. Like it was a definite shift when she came in.
I think you needed that balance though, in that regard, because I liked her character a whole lot, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I was very much as cool with that. I think there actually is a Disney Plus plan for there to be a show for her.
There is.
Clearly that
I don't know if it's a movie or show, but yeah.
So yeah, that was that. But also, as much as this is a moment where we all understand the situation, you can't have us just grieving the whole time. Like, you got to find some balance in there. So I found that in her. So that was cool. I guess my actual gripe with her, as great of a character as she was, I felt like they moved way too fast with her. Like, we didn't really get a full understanding of who she was.
Yeah.
And then they captured her, and then she took it to Wakanda, and then Namor's there, and then immediately the Queen's like, hey, help me. And she's already up there doing, I'm like, how do you even know how to use it? I was like, wait a minute.
Basically turned into Tony Stark like super quick. Yeah, I know.
She jumped right into, she got real comfortable real quick. Yeah. And I was like, for someone that's new to all this, was trying to evade all this for a long time, gets thrown into it, and then automatically knows how to do everything. I was like, y'all moving too fast. But besides that, I enjoyed her involvement.
And then, I said some of the humor didn't quite hit for me. Like, some of that felt a little bit forced at times. Some of it worked, but
I guess the subtle humor, or the black humor, I guess however you want to describe it.
That's
that stuff hit a little bit different than the direct stuff. So, for example, the girl, when they were with Riri at first, and she was talking about her head, and she was like, I thought you said my stuff was all good. I thought you were whatever. I was catching up at that. Or more raided Wakanda, and then M'Baku's in the water and sees the whale driving up. His face, his eyes was like, oh shit.
No, M'Baku was good in this one. For sure.
So the little subtle stuff like that was perfect. The clear jokes that they're throwing there might not all be perfect,
right?
But at least for my recollection, everything was. I liked the humor that they snuck in there, so I was cool with it.
And then one last thing, this is actually a take from a dude who's a host on Lights Camera Barstool Pod, Ken Jack. Sure. He brought up as far as how they had Shuri take over the mantle for Black Panther, and while I think it worked fairly well, it felt earned. It didn't feel forced.
Correct.
He brought up the point of he was kind of hoping they would go another direction, and that was if I'm blanking on her character's name in the movie, but if Lupita were actually the one to take it over, her being the one that was, I guess, scorned in a way, having like lost her lover. Had that connection, and also was one who was kind of the opposite of T'Challa, where she wanted to share their resources with the world and he didn't. So they kind of had that difference of opinion there, so it would have that complexity as well. And then she's also just kind of a badass in her own right, and kind of like a stronger looking like Black Panther as well too.
Worthy of the lead, I believe.
Exactly.
I agree.
I feel like that would have been kind of a cool idea for someone else to take over the mantle. Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, do you think she would take that with her son being around?
That's
I feel like if she was by herself, that makes a lot of sense to transition to her. Like there's a lot of vengeance. You're now by yourself. Take over as our queen and lead us, and we will be along your side as you get past, as we all overcome this, and as you now lead us into the future. And try to keep this thing afloat. But knowing that she has a son out there, it was like, well, if someone's gonna be, you guys offering it to me. Let's give it to him instead. He already got the name and everything. Right. Let's groom him up to be, which is where the next movie probably is going anyways. But that could have been an interesting dynamic too. So I don't know. That would be cool though. So I like that thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool idea. And going forward, you can say what you think, I guess, how they'll kind of move forward with the next movie. But I feel like there's going to have to be some sort of time jump, like within the Wakanda universe, as far as T'Challa. I mean, because Kid T'Challa feels like kind of a wasted movie, but like maybe if you're like, he's like around 16 and like coming into being able to maybe take over the throne, I could see that like being a compelling story. Like I kind of said, like the Game of Thrones type thing.
I was going to say, I could see it going slight Game of Thrones-ish in that we also saw at the very end, and M'Baku was going to claim the throne.
Yeah.
And obviously he, I guess, does not know about the son.
Right.
So if they had a young T'Challa who clearly seems to be just a nice kid and warm-hearted and all that kind of stuff, like, hey guys, I'm king now, and M'Baku's like, no, the fuck you ain't. I think that would be a good dynamic too, to see how that views. And then, like in Game of Thrones, they could do then a jump later on to when he's more of age and ready to fully claim it. And M'Baku's either there and holds the fort down for a little while, or he goes a separate route. So I think that could work either way. I think a young T'Challa, maybe even just a show could be cool. Letting them see as they're in a moment of peace, I guess now with Namor and everything kind of settled down. Show him developing his skills a little bit. Show him being welcomed into Wakanda now and being known, things of that nature. And then the next movie then is the time jump into him of age, now ready to claim everything and move forward. So that could be an idea, and I'm cool with it either way. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely still very excited for all that's still to come with Black Panther. So yeah, it's very, very happy with what I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like the person who is the Black Panther doesn't necessarily have to be the king too. So like, what if M'Baku takes over the throne, but T'Challa like takes over as Black Panther?
That works too.
Yeah, like that could be interesting as well.
And this is a small thing, and again, nitpicking or whatever. When they gave Shuri the drink that made her into the Black Panther stuff,
right?
She didn't drink the whole thing.
No, she didn't.
So in that, if you could give it to multiple people, Shuri could have the powers or whatever. You can pass it over to the son.
That's true.
Pass a little bit over. I don't know if that's possible.
That cheapens it.
It cheapens it a little bit. But obviously, Shuri has it. You don't lose it, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think that fades. So she's gonna have it either way.
Well, like,
so Shuri's still around can have it, and then he can have it.
How did they do it when because obviously like Killmonger got it for a minute.
Exactly. And I thought
I don't know that you lose it. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. That was just a random thing. I again, random nitpicking stuff as I was watching. I was like, hey, she didn't drink the whole thing. Can you pass it over? I don't know. So if that's possible, I gotta read the comics, I guess. There's not enough hours in a day, but if I gotta
Hey,
find an hour somewhere and
Marvel
get to these
Marvel
books and
comic
all that,
heads can let us know in the comments
yeah,
some of the
or
comic
that, please just help us out because
yeah,
I would love to get into it, but I ain't got enough time for that right now. So,
for sure.
yeah, if
I
that
guess
there's a way for it to be
lastly,
shared, that'd be
what would
cool.
you say,
So,
like your overall rating? I guess like on a scale of 100, just so you don't have to pick between stars and half a star. Like, what
I
would
think
you
a
say?
number is even harder to be honest, but I guess my final stamp or my stamp after one viewing, because I'm gonna watch it again for sure.
Mhm.
My stamp after one viewing and talking it out and getting over my gripes and everything, I'll put it somewhere around like a 93
Really? Okay,
out of
I'm
100.
surprised. Yeah, because because you said like it went from 4.7 to 4.2, so I thought you were gonna be like in the low 80s or something like that.
No, I still enjoyed it all.
Okay,
I just had to get past my own, like you said, suspending the disbelief and all that kind of stuff.
sure.
So thinking as it was, I definitely still enjoyed it. Like I said, I walked out. I was one of the few wiping a little tear away and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So I definitely enjoyed it all. I thought it was a great movie. I
okay,
just had little nitpick parts, as I said, that just didn't quite make sense to me. But I
okay,
really thought it was great still. So yeah, I put it somewhere right around that 93 spot. What you got?
okay. Well, yeah, I thought you were gonna be lower than me, but you're higher than me. I was gonna say probably close to like an 89 for me, like right on the edge of
What did you have the
exceptional.
first one at? Do
It's
you
a little
remember?
bit higher for me, and I feel like I don't know where you stand as far as which movie was better for you. It's only been one watch, obviously, but
Yeah. Um, I think the first one is barely better still.
yeah,
I guess because of the moment as well. The first
mhm,
one, just all that went into it and all that. We were waiting for
sure,
so long for
yeah.
that representation, and all the other things.
First one
But I
had Black
think,
Panther in it too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So I guess to that point, it's not a big jump. So, for example, if this is 93, that was 94.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
like a 1 point extra boost on there.
right,
But yeah, I give it a slight nod just
yeah,
for nostalgia and
right.
all else that surrounded it.
So this would probably be like an 89 for me, whereas Black Panther was probably like 92, 93.
Okay.
This one, yeah.
Okay.
I think they're both great movies. I just think a couple of the cons kind of brought it down for me. Just like I talked about, the humor, the whole Everett Ross storyline could get rid of. Um,
I
and
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
but
We don't got to talk about this for an hour.
no,
We
no,
got
no,
something to
no,
get
no,
to.
for sure.
I was gonna say I was fine with it. It was just that I didn't like that it disappeared, and I
Mhm.
didn't like that at the very end that they teased a little cliffhanger of him in the truck and got saved, and then that was it. So
Well,
I
it
guess
didn't disappear because like it kept popping up in small moments, like when she shows him that the queen died and we bug
so.
your
Yes,
beads and all
yes,
that stuff.
yes, but
Like, yeah,
it
it's
wasn't enough of a pivotal. Like as you said, you could have took it all out and still had the same movie.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So uh yeah, that was the part that bothered me. But at the beginning points, I was cool with how it intertwined.
Hmm, hmm, yeah. Oh, I guess last like the final like battle scene and fight scene. Like, how did you feel about those?
Um, Again, I was cool with it all. I will say, I thought their ship or boat was whack. It was just like one big platform, and
Uh-huh.
they figured that out pretty easy.
Uh-huh.
Low key, the Wakandans got cooked, and if not
They
for
were getting
Shuri,
cold. Yeah,
they would have been pure just
yeah,
barbecue chicken. That would have been
yeah.
bad. But even still, I enjoyed the battle that they had,
Hmm.
and I think that adds to an interesting dynamic. Again, if Namor decides to flip again and attack again, it's like, hey, y'all figured us out the first time, but now that we're outside for real now, we're gonna handle y'all. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm going to see how things go next.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
We don't know the comics or anything like that. Would you like to see any more Michael B. Jordan involvement going forward, Killmonger appearances or anything like that?
I mean, if he could be, I think he works well. He's a solid actor too. Like,
Right.
he has a strong presence on screen. So, I think if it works narratively, that's fine. But it doesn't have to be forced in either. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. We talked too long. We got a whole lot of other stuff to get to. But yeah, that's our Black Panther Wakanda Forever review. Thank y'all for tuning in. There's a whole lot of sports stuff. Y'all see what time y'all see what week it is. There's a lot to talk about in the sports world. And I'm excited to get to all of that. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this. We'll pop up every once in a while with a review like this, or with a lake show, or wing time reviews and things of that nature. We'll pop up with those every once in a while. Talk to you guys about fun stuff that we see on our timeline or whatever that's big at the moment. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into this one. We'll be back shortly for all of our sports stuff, and appreciate you guys again for tuning in. Follow us online everywhere. IG and TikTok at Section.300, Twitter at Section Sports. Follow me everywhere at Just Say G. Follow Alec at Alec R. Foster on all platforms. Subscribe to this show, and yeah, we'll see you guys again. See y'all. Peace.
Deuces.